I'm Hannah Kaplan, and this is the WCS Wild Audio Podcast, where you'll find reported audio stories covering the latest news and newsmakers from the Wildlife Conservation Society's Global Conservation Program, Zoos and Aquarium, and their many partners. We've got a great show today, so let's get to it. WCS's Real Wild New York Film Festival returns this month to showcase fresh, powerful stories about people and nature from around the world. One of this year's featured films is Keeper, a documentary short that follows a Bronx beekeeper and his daughter. Dan Rosen has more.
Sean Flynn, a resident of the Bronx, has always had a soft spot for bees.
Honeybees only live 6 weeks, and everything they do are for future generations. So it's really incredible how hard they work for things that they'll never see.
Unfortunate for Flynn, he's actually allergic to bees. But that hasn't stopped him from becoming a dedicated beekeeper. He learned it as a valuable skill to impart to his daughters, and also a way to support his borough.
Yeah, 25% of the Bronx is parkland and green space. We're the only borough with a freshwater river. We've had dolphins come through. The beavers are back. We're still dealing with coyotes up here. So yeah, the Bronx is full of wildlife, full of greenery, and yet we hear too much about the negative parts of the Bronx in the news. I think they need to change that narrative, and I'm doing my part.
So despite the risks, Flynn has persevered. Today, he works a night shift in Manhattan. By day, he runs Boogie Down Bronx Honey, and alongside his daughter Alora, is the subject of a powerful documentary called Keeper that will air at WCS's Real Wild Film Festival later this month.
I've always found bees and beekeeping really fascinating from a metaphorical standpoint. Like narratively, they're such interesting creatures that we don't fully understand, but have a lot to teach us.
This is Hannah Rafkin, the filmmaker who made Keeper. As a documentary student at the School for Visual Arts, Hannah was looking for film ideas. She was particularly interested in stories about nature in the city.
I've never kept bees myself, but I just started doing a little research and looked into New York City beekeepers and found a New York Times article that listed 4 or 5 prominent New York City beekeepers, and one of them kept hives in his Bronx apartment despite being severely allergic to bees, and started this whole thing with his daughter when she was 10 or 11, 12, I think. And so I reached out to Flynn and thought we were going to have a 5-minute phone call, and we talked for about 2 hours, and that was the beginning.
As a one-woman operation, filming Flynn's beekeeping wasn't easy, particularly around subjects that could sting her at any time. But Hannah also worried a bee suit would make it hard to hold the camera. That didn't last.
I feel a little something in my hair, and I'm like, freeze, it doesn't matter. It's fine. If I'm not scared, it's not going to do anything. Just hold the camera steady. And lo and behold, I got stung, and I had to put the camera down and have Flynn come use his beekeeping scraper tool to get the stinger out of my scalp. And from then on, whenever he offered me the suit, I always just said yes.
The scope of the story changed over the course of the filming, too.
It started off as this little 5-minute project for school. And during the course of filming, I was diagnosed with throat cancer. And that pretty much changed everything.
Flynn's cancer battle became a central part of a longer narrative, alongside his beekeeping.
Things got really scary for a while. At some point, we had to stop filming. I just had no energy to even get up.
But Hannah kept coming by to support Flynn and Alora.
I'm so grateful for Hannah because she was here for Alora while I was just incapacitated. And she came by. She couldn't film or anything, but she just hung out with Alora, and they watched movies and binged and supported each other. It was great.
Their bond has continued. Flynn is in good health today, still on the right side of the grass, he says, and feeling great. Keeper was shortlisted for an Oscar, an example of the power of film to convey the value of nature that will be a central theme at Real Wild New York.
I like to make films with sort of a spoonful of sugar is not exactly the right way to say it, but I want people to be engaged, entertained, and connected to the person that they're watching on the screen. And then through their connection that I can hopefully build with the audience to the participants in the film, to the stories that are unfolding, that will more organically create a sense of care and concern in the viewer. And so I'm really inspired by the power of storytelling about humans to create conversation, motivation, and action around all kinds of issues.
You can see Keeper at the festival on Friday, April 24th. Tickets are available at realwild.org. For WCS Wild Audio, I'm Dan Rosen.
Today's episode was produced and reported by Dan Rosen, with help from Hannah Kaplan and Nat Moss. The WCS Wild Audio Podcast is a production of the Wildlife Conservation Society. Stay tuned for our next episode, and don't forget to follow, rate, and review the show wherever you get your podcasts.